This is how I live. This is what I love. This is all the things that my dreams have been made of.
Welcome to my life. This is what I love. This is what the soundtrack to my life is made of. Music, love, life.
Yeah, Christal, Jordan, Be Honest, and myself, Kevin Davis, we are Music, Love, Life, and welcome to another episode. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
I took a little break, and y'all tried to replace me real quick. What? Christal, what is this?
We had a relationship therapist on last week, Stacey J, that came out, and today we just have a full house. We got some special guests. We're going to really get into some great conversations. First of all, we got to introduce our first guest is Henny, a.k.a. Tha Bizness. He's one of the biggest producers in the business. We invited him to come on and talk a little bit about, first of all, his body of work is impressive. He's worked with my favorite artist, Chris Brown.
Right on.
And a lot of other
That's your favorite artist?
That's my favorite artist.
You have said that before.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Chris Brown is amazing.
Favorite in title is one. You can't have
I can split it.
You can have two best friends.
Equally phenomenal.
You can have two best
I have
friends.
two best friends.
You can't. Best
I have it. And those were
best is a qualifier.
Favorite is split. Chris Brown.
I got an idea. Why don't you say my favorite producer is Henny, and that way it encompasses all of
that.
it.
No,
it's cool. It's all good.
Super dope.
Right.
Dope. And the great thing about Henny is he's been consistent and around for a long time. There are a lot of producers that, start and then they stop, and then there's some that have started and they
you know how a computer loads stuff,
right?
So I'm looking at my man's discography, and I swear that shit loaded like 75 times. And still I'm like, come on, man, come on. I got tired of looking at songs.
Yeah,
like,
he's dope. And it's not, and then too, no shade to some of the producers that you'll have, but they'll have like one dope record, and then the rest of them be like, oh, those are album fillers.
Wow,
those are album fillers.
Wow, no shade. Did you say no shade before you said that shit?
I said no shade.
Wow,
we've had some producers
completely
like that.
Shade.
No.
Lucky my man is light skinned like me, so there's no shade that gets us. In the shade, we just dark skinned.
Wow.
Oh yes, let's start.
I see Beige Brothers got to stick together.
Thank you. Right on.
Thanks for hanging out. We've been trying to do this forever.
Yeah.
And so we finally got you here, so we're going to have a good time.
Pleasure to be here.
Our second guest is Jamal Kosher of Kosher Footwear. He's an Atlanta influencer. He has a fashion line here of shoes that are for men. Actually, they're unisex, I learned last night, for men and women. Also has a bicycle club that he's kind of started. I know people are really getting excited here in Atlanta. We're becoming very LA-like, with everybody excited about working out and getting on the belt line and things like that. But we wanted Jamal to come by and talk about some of the stuff going on social media that I think we're going to get into in just a bit. But welcome, Jamal.
Thank you.
Welcome, man. Yeah. So hold on, bicycle club. You got to tell me about that real quick. I'm sorry, but
I mean, I don't know if it's a LA thing. I think I've been riding bikes since I was a kid.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've been riding bikes where people have the pegs, they just ride on the back and you pedal. Like,
like having the posters on my wall and all that. So,
right.
So I think now it's just a lot of people have gotten together that have had the same type of passion, and we just kind of called ourselves the Dope Fellas. And it's a group of good guys, and we have a good time doing this. Stress relief, and then it's we do some miles. We do some real miles. So it's nothing that you want to just come out and just. With your little Walmart bike.
Me and a friend of mine started riding on the Silver Comet Trail.
Okay.
And I decided to do it one day by myself because, he worked the job, so I was off in the day. I was like, let me just try this myself. I rode 15 miles out.
Okay.
But didn't realize I had to ride 15 miles back.
Oh, yeah.
So I got back, man. I saved the GPS and everything because I let everybody know, I rode 30 miles a day, right? But my body was done.
But I think you have to have a special. I know one of the guys in your group. Middleman, shouts out to Middle. And I went over, I think we were watching the Grammys or something, and he showed me this very sophisticated and expensive bike. He was like, look at my bike, and not a motorcycle, but the actual bike. And I was like, that looks really dope and expensive.
Middle just redid his bike. I mean, we all ride fixed gear or single gear.
What does that mean?
Well, it just means you don't have gears. So,
okay.
You got to be a man about it.
Yeah, fixed gear just means it's fixed. So, you stop pedaling, the wheel stops.
Oh, wow.
So we all ride fixed gear or like I ride, I'm a little older, so I ride single speed.
Okay.
I can stop my feet and it'll still go on. But I mean, it's a culture and everything. You know, it's a culture in bicycling. We ride, I think, about 3 times a week: Tuesdays, Sundays, and Thursdays. So we have a ball out there, man. We have a ball. Everybody need to come on out there.
Somebody stole my bike when I was a kid, man. I'm still mad about that.
I got a Cannondale bike. It used to be expensive, but I got it from a Geek Monster though.
Really? I don't know
Them the best bikes.
Yeah.
Them the best bikes.
Yeah. Do you know what a Geek Monster is?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do y'all wear like special shoes when you ride and all that?
See, the thing is, remember I was saying it's a different culture. So you do have the culture of, you know, the dudes that wear the biking pants and the little shoes and.
But they're fly. These are the fly guys.
We don't knock the guys that do, you know, because a couple of those guys do come out and ride with us. And I mean, it's all good. It's all good. Now I might get some click-ons, you know, which are the shoes. It just makes it more efficient as cycling. But you won't catch me in no biking shorts.
But what about those shorts? There's some shorts that got the like gel padding in it. If you ride long distance, sometimes you got to put that under your shorts.
Now, see, I'm gonna be honest with you. Now, I do have those.
Okay, me too.
They
I got them
always
too.
go up under. You never. Ain't nobody.
So you be out there in some hooping shorts and some shorts.
I'm gonna just wear something. We still doing.
See, I can fuck with that. That's my speed.
Yeah. It might not be it might be some Converse or something.
Right.
I don't know if I'm being under Jordans. but yeah, we just have a ball, man. You just come on out there, man. You know, if you need your bike tuned up, we'll tune you up a little bit. Because we do not recommend you come out there with that Walmart bike. That ain't what you're doing.
So y'all
y'all bougie, shaming
You
the
get out there 15 miles and then that Walmart bike let you know.
those screws start coming out of the frame.
I'm not ready. I see now. I'm not. The bike that I have is not on the.
You got the one with
level,
the little ribbons on the side.
have
Christal got a basket on the front, a little bell, and ching ching.
No, you can rent a bike though. You can rent a bike on our Tuesday rides. You can rent a bike.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man. And the unisex shoe line, that's something I've never heard of. Tell us a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, I've been doing. I've been creating things probably since '98. The brand was established in '98. So from jewelry, backpacks, coats, shirts, now shoes. We've always had something that we've just kind of produced on a consistent basis. So every year the brand releases probably about 3 to 4 products. But we just try to release it on a global scale. So it's nothing that we just try to, release a whole lot of products, but the things that we do release are, some really well-built products. The shoe that we just released now, the Kosher Oxblood, in fact, is a hand-built shoe. So we can call it an artisan shoe. You want to be fancy. But it's just something that we, really take our time. When I say we, I need to say me. Because I design it, I produce it. I shoot, edit. The videos for it.
Right.
We get it done. But at the end of the day, more so than just being a fashion dude, because I'm not really a fashion dude, though I'll create fashion. It's more about being able to produce product and not to be so much of a consumer, but actually a producer. So I've really
baby boy speech.
Right on.
I mean,
That's my dark-skinned brother. Right? I'm loving this.
You got to make it a colored thing.
We got so many fashionable people, and
Right.
I don't know if that's just the thing that's going to, catapult us to the next level.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to, us being able to create our own, we have to kind of put ourselves in place to do just that.
Where are you from?
I'm from Atlanta.
Okay, cool. I thought I heard that. Yeah.
I'm from Atlanta, man.
That's the thing that's, I think, so dope about Atlanta. And I'm not from here. I know, Henny's not from here. Kevin is not from here. But when you come here, there's such a the creative energy is so dope that we can steal that from you,
No, you can't.
and become a part of the culture.
We see you guys. We see y'all walking around here. We know who you are. We know you.
No, but seriously, there's a serious creative energy that's here. And I think we were talking about last night, Jamal and I, how Atlanta, is like a trend-setting place for the rest of the world, really,
Yeah, it is.
welcome.
I mean, Atlanta for me was always, when I really started to travel in high school, only thing I had to do was say I'm from Atlanta, and people were just so interested in knowing what was going on, as opposed to probably in middle school you were like, I'm from Atlanta, and people were like, all right, get that little country thing out of it. You're not checking for that. So I think Atlanta a lot was a lot different from other cities because we were more welcoming of others,
Right.
and more accepting of other people and their talents. I think we're kind of cringing at that now,
Yeah.
these days, because we're getting overflowed. But I think now we're just a melting pot, and we have so many talented people from everybody, and that's why we really just kind of run shit now.
Yeah. Henny, when did you get to Atlanta?
Man, 98. I went to Morehouse College.
Okay.
And, so I left, went to LA for about 6 years, and then came back because my brothers stayed here. I wanted to come back and have some property here, and I love Atlanta. So now my children are Atlanta born. You know what I mean? So
where are you originally from?
Seattle.
Seattle, yeah, that's right, Seattle.
Yeah.
Dope.
I want to actually ask. I've been trying to get Henny to come on for a minute because you have a series that you put out yourself called Adventures in Beat Making. Because we know about all the dope, people that you've worked with and artists and everything, but this seems like something that you did more for people that are maybe inquisitive, or maybe even just for you, because you talk about your family. We see your children. So talk a little bit about your series.
It was about a year ago. I had an idea that just came to me because I was with a couple partners talking about branding. And, as producers, you're always in the background and you try to play your tag in the front and try to make sure that you can get some type of name recognition. And I've been doing that for over 10, 12 years. And I knew that as it's still going to be a young man's game, the music industry. And me almost being 38 now, it was something that I had to be able to sustain myself. I got a family, I got a wife, I got children. I got a lot more other things going on than just being able to be in the studio till 5 a.m. every day. You know what I mean? So I started making my music on the iPad about 3 years ago. Fully, I shut my studio down. I just started seeing if it was capable of being able to be as professional as something like having a big studio like we're in here right now. So I decided to take that idea of being on an iPad, being able to be anywhere, anytime with my family or doing all those things and show it, because I've always been into videography and all of that. So I was like, okay, Instagram's got 60 seconds. Let's see if I can do it in 60 seconds and start building this brand and turn the camera on myself. And so almost a year ago, I started doing that every week and just showing what my life is like every week, but making a beat through it in 60 seconds. And that's Adventures in Beat Making, and it's episode 50 tomorrow. 50. And it's given me a whole nother level of people who never knew what I was about, never knew my personality. And then my confidence is just like you got to show yourself, you got to show your family, you got to show what you might have worn that a few weeks ago, all that shit that you go through, shit, you know what I mean? But over time, you just realize that just putting yourself out there and being as transparent as possible. Shit, you just being able to really show what you're about, and so now it's giving me a lot of opportunity to do a lot of different things coming to 2018. So it's a blessing.
Did I mention that light skinned people are amazing? I think that we're amazing people.
You see, and Christal said something when I said dark skinned brothers unite,
I'm in the middle, and I just want to say
the bands was clicked up like that. You ain't say nothing.
No.
I think that, let's be honest, Henny hasn't even co-signed him at all.
I don't care.
It's you. Anyway.
What do you mean? He doesn't have to co-sign me. It's automatic. And besides that, me and Jamal clicked up because we both Atlanta. So what you're saying
is
I'm good with everybody in the room. Y'all need to watch y'all backs. If something go down, y'all need to watch y'all backs. I'm good.
Well, let's get into this conversation. Let's get into this conversation because we talked. Kevin and I talked earlier in the week, which is why we definitely wanted you to be here today because there were headlines that went out when the Grammy nominations came out that there were, for the first time since I think 1997, there were no white males recognized or nominated for Record of the Year. And I think also album of the year and also song of the year. And so there is a white person. I didn't even realize that first because, you see the headlines and it seems so provocative. I thought there was no white person, period. But there is a white woman, Lord, who is... Lord, who actually is, I think, I think she's like from New Zealand.
The British chick? New Zealand?
Yeah, she's from New Zealand. But
that's white.
That is very white, but there was no white male, and these are categories that I think up until now have been pretty much dominated by white males. So, what do you think? Do you think that this is a change? This is, I guess, cognizant. People are cognizant of a change happening, or you think this is just a fluke?
The thing is, right, I'm a governor for the Grammys for the Atlanta chapter. And so I'm kind of like on the front lines of seeing all of this come out and understanding that at the end of the day, when it comes to the Recording Academy, they want to know, after the show was done, January 29th or whenever it's going to be, did they get it right? right? That's always the question. Did they get it right? You know, those times where, you know, that artist won or that person won and you're like, what the fuck? Like, where did they come from, right? But you look at this time right now and you look at how, you know, how we talked about how Atlanta is shaping the music industry, how hip hop has transformed and birthed trap, and how trap has transcended, and how streaming and everything about music right now is so urbanly influenced that it's no doubt that we're dominating in the type of music that we're creating. Yeah. It's just, you know, it's just rising above some of the other genres. And I'm like, shit, we're getting it right now. You know what I mean? And
we're the ones that are casting the votes, though, right?
But here's the thing about the Grammys, right? I mean, a lot of people get frustrated about how it works. And just to break it down really quick, you have a certain set of processes. The first process is that anybody can nominate. You know, if you're part of the Recording Academy and you paid your $100 dues and you have, you know, the right qualifications to become a member, then you can nominate anybody to be on any category for any Grammy, right? So the main thing is you want as many people to nominate you if you're an artist, whatever. Now, if you're a popular artist, you're just your label's gonna throw it in and whatever, and you're just gonna see those nominations. From there goes to the committees that says, it's a steering committee that says, okay, well, you rap, but you sing, and you also do that. Should it be R&B or should you be hip hop, right? And so they steer certain artists in certain directions to make it so that it gets to the point where we have a committee for certain genres. So R&B has a committee, hip hop has a committee this year, you know, gospel and rock and all these committees come in and say, okay, these were the top 20 that were nominated, right? And then from there, everybody in that committee has to go ahead, listen to those nominating those categories, and have a discussion like we're having right now and say, I don't know if that was it. I don't know if that was that. But these are all peers of, you know, your genre. If you're in hip hop, it's going to be peers of your genre saying that was dope, but this is doper, to get it to that top 5. Mm-hmm. And once you get it to that top 5, they vote on it, they get it to that top 5, and then they send it back to the voting members all across the nation, and those top 5 become that top 1. And so at the end of the day, you see that when it comes down to it, it's still going to be peer to peer. Right. You know what I mean? And hopefully this year we understand that, you know, musicians are musicians, and if you have an open mind, you're going to understand that if you don't like hip hop, if you don't like rap, if you don't like some of these genres that are at the top of the categories now, you can still understand that there's some really great music there, and you should probably fuck with it. Yeah. So hopefully, you know, January 28th, it'll show some really great things, and it's in New York, and so it's going to be completely different. Yeah,
right.
Well, it seems like that would also still lend the ability for lobby power based on the way the steering committees and things like that work.
Straight up.
So maybe it's just that finally we're getting our lobby voice.
Yeah.
And there's somebody who's willing to vouch for those artists when they come up to that committee to be steered, and they're not being shut down before they even get voted on.
And, you know, there's definitely, I mean, I've heard of, you know, specific lobbying that's definitely, you know, some shit that people don't ever want people to do. It's like, I'm going to get you some tickets if you get my shit on, and I'll be able to, you know, like.
But if you can't control that type of thing, it's always going to, you know what I mean? Because I think, especially when you're talking about, that happens internally, you know what I mean? And that's based, it's just an internal ethical thing. And I don't think there's a way to totally police that. But
no, I don't want to police it. I'm saying we finally have a lobby voice. I'm saying the lobby shit is happening everywhere. So we need to have.
Want us to be able to do it too.
Why can't we have a lobby?
I mean, that was the whole point, was for us to step up and take control of our own destiny. That's why my man is creating it. He's a creator. He said, I create many things. I run this. I do this.
Right.
I said we, but I meant me.
Yeah.
Yes. That's how we do it.
That's definitely how you do it. Straight up.
Right.
You know, and at the end of the day, when you look at these bigger categories, you know, it's gonna have to be a diverse room in there,
right?
You know, because
but this is huge. I mean, those are the biggest. Those are pretty much the big album of the year, song of the year, biggest nominations of the night.
Right.
What are your predictions? Because I mean, there's some great competition in there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at album,
you
look at album of the year, and you got like
Childish
Gambino, you got Bruno Mars, you got Jay-Z, you got Kendrick Lamar, and Lorde. Right? Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, personally, my favorite, and not just because, you know, I worked with him for a while, is Kendrick. But that album was to me was amazing.
It changed the way we
It was
listen to
amazing.
music. It
And I
did.
mean, because you got to think about it. Like, now you got the Damn album, and then you got the 444 album.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay-Z's album was incredible as well. But the impact of how much it did for the
Get
culture.
a little closer from me. Henny.
Yeah, my bad.
That's cool.
Just to get a little bit the culture when it came down to like a Kendrick or a Jay, because I don't know, they could both be swept by somebody like Bruno, but
right. Because that
but
album,
Bruno album was crazy as fuck too.
Yeah.
So let's be real. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He kind of like showed the whole pop music that R&B was a real thing and it should be respected, and more people should be looking into doing chords and bass lines like synths and B sections and bridges and all that shit that, you know, a lot of our R&B artists aren't doing anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know.
Bruno brought a lot of fun, especially
Yeah,
during
he
a lot
did.
Straight
of
up.
dark
Straight
time.
up.
Like society was going through some dark and serious stuff.
You put on the
And
Bruno
Yeah.
bars. And
Bruno, you forgot all about it. You
Yeah.
was doing pimp shit all of a sudden.
there he goes.
Let me play devil's
back on the
advocate,
pimp
though.
shit.
Please.
I mean, but do you think Bruno Mars has the ability to do things that others don't right now? Because I mean, R&B is not really accepted by a certain demographic. Bruno Mars is kind of giving you an opportunity to hear things that, you know, the market really wouldn't support.
Right.
Yeah.
From an actual
But-
African American R&B
Yeah.
artist, right?
And it's like, you know, and then you'll find some, like, it's like when Taylor Swift starts putting trap drums into the bass line of her tracks.
Right.
Then you got
We blame you, man. You know we blame you, right?
Hold on. I'm trying to get that.
Who
trying
let
to
her
get that
have these? Who let her have these damn cymbals
Your fault, wasn't it?
and hits?
But at the end of the day, you know, you got to understand, like, that'll only, you know, help others get into those radio stations as well. That, you know, like your Lil Uzis or your Post Malones or some of these other cats that are on pop radio right now. I think it's because, you know, it's this you know, the resurgence of just black music at the forefront. So
Let me ask you a question, Henny, about the voting process again. I'm sorry to go back
Yeah,
to that,
no,
but
it's
there
all
are a
good.
lot of, like, you know, younger producers or guys who are on the fringe of trying to get in, and their idea is that there's a bunch of white dudes voting about that particular genre, and that's
Yeah.
why they're never going to get a shot
Yeah.
when it comes to the Grammys. So can you kind of give a little more of an idea of what type of diversity goes into the voting process for each genre? Is it all white guys that are old and don't know anything about your genre?
Like I said before, right? If you're a voting member, which means that you are actively in the music industry and you're putting out music, right? So if you're a songwriter or a producer out there that's had some placements, and it's been, you know, on Apple Music or Spotify or Tidal or even SoundCloud, you're eligible. You know, if you have a certain amount of songs within a certain amount of years, you're eligible to pay your fee and become a recording member. Now, or become a recording member that's a voting member. Okay. Some members aren't voting members, they're associate members. You know, they work for education, or they work, you know, in management and other things like that, but they're not necessarily making recordings, so they're not going to be considered a voting member of the Recording Academy. But they could also, you know, be a voting member that actually makes the vote. You know what I mean? Like, the ballot comes out, they can actually vote. So it's not just at the end of the day who's going to choose these guys. It's my bad, bro. Everybody in the voting members, like from, you know, Seattle all the way to down here, all the different chapters have their, you know, voting members that's going to vote on these awards. And then all those ballots go to like a consultant company like Deloitte, and they seal it and they tally it up, and then they bring it back the day of the award show. Right. And so it's never, you know, the old white guys in the back saying, maybe let's just give it to, you know, but you got to still understand popularity is still going to be a thing.
Right.
But the one thing people don't realize is, even as a voting member, with all the 60 categories that you see, you still only get 15 votes that you can vote on. So if you don't know a certain genre, you're most likely not going to vote, because you don't have, like, you only have 15. If you know rock and you know pop, and that's 4 categories there, 4 categories there, and then you're also going to vote for the 4 categories at the top, the album of the year, record, song, and all of that. That's like,
that's it, you're done.
You can vote for something else and it's a wrap, and you can't vote for anything.
Right.
And so as you understand that, it's like, yeah, it's really going to be the peers that know your shit that's probably going to be voting for your stuff.
Right.
That's part of the academy. So
keep working, basically, is what you're saying. That's not what you think it is.
Right. That's actually important. And you should do a segment on that, especially closer to the Grammys, because I think people get this idea in their head and it may not be true at all. And they're just walking around thinking, especially a lot of artists. I've heard that argument from a lot of artists that should, I guess, know better.
Yeah, they're frustrated. But you got to, it's like voting. It's like any type of voting out here. You know, you got to get involved. You got to know what to be voting for. And you have to vote.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're eligible to vote if you're active in the industry.
Right.
So pay your dues.
So as opposed to complaining about it, get involved. And especially because a lot of people I know complaining have the ability to vote.
Yeah, Q-Tip complained. He was upset.
Q-Tip got pissed.
Yeah, he was upset.
I'm a huge Tribe Called Quest fan.
Right.
But that album was not.
It was not Grammy.
I mean, not the impactful
and he can be upset.
Was.
And I've talked about this before. And I mean, he could be very upset. But at the end of the day, it was your peers that voted these tops 20 and then became the top 5.
Right.
And so it wasn't these guys in the back that just like, come on, man, why y'all ain't fucking with me?
Don't know.
Like,
right.
It was your peers saying, these albums were a little bit process. But
he has
to. He should.
But a lot of us are part of the Grammy Award situation. Nominees go to the show and all that, and never know how it works.
Right.
And let's just be honest. You know what I mean?
Henny
So
that's why I want to ask that.
Peers.
Yeah,
right.
straight up.
I want to make that plain and simple.
That was good because I didn't know that, and I've worked with a lot of artists that have a lot of complaints, and I don't know that
that's the number one complaint.
Yeah.
They hating on me, son.
Well, they think it's like this arbitrary white man. It's always like this
that doesn't know anything about hip hop.
That's holding us down. It doesn't want blacks, involved. And it's like, I mean, I'm black.
And there might have been
I don't
something
necessarily
to that.
think that album was dope.
I think there might have been something to that in previous years.
No,
because for a long time, hip hop
black
wasn't
people
even
also
televised.
voted for Macklemore. That's what I need you to know.
That black people voted for Macklemore.
They did. That's why
I like Macklemore.
Sing a song.
I told you guys before we started this that I love the Same Love song. I told you that already.
So are you coming out? You go just come on out. Come on out, man. Stop tiptoeing.
No, I'm not coming out. I thought it was a good song. I thought it was a good song, but I think I should be able to like any song I want to.
You should.
You can like whatever song you like. You just not. And it's funny because B be bullying you about that.
Which is ridiculous because he's not even 100% black.
What does that have to do with anything? How is that reference?
To do with everything.
Because Macklemore had a song about that. Didn't he have a song about all associations, interracial relationships?
He does.
Some other shit.
Indeed.
I actually am not a Macklemore fan. I like his videos. Like me and Henny were talking. His visuals are really good.
The video was dope. I don't know. But there are a lot of songs that I don't know if I like the song without the video because they get introduced at the same time. I'll give you an example. Beyonce's the
Lemonade album.
The Lemonade album, but the very first one, the first one that Get in Formation, right? Mm-hmm. So if I heard that song on the radio, I'm a huge Beyonce fan, along with Kevin. But
no, Kevin is not a fan.
I am.
He's in the Beehive.
Okay,
Kevin is in the Beehive.
He's in the Beehive.
That's
We're
all
both
good.
in the Beehive.
You claim that?
I don't be like on Twitter chasing people down and shit. But hey, I give credit where it's due.
He said,
I give credit where it's due. She cool.
Live it.
He be telling niggas put a ring on.
Somebody say something about
it's okay,
Beyonce
Kevin.
though.
You don't have to worry. Don't let this machismo.
He be telling niggas put a ring on it.
I just want to know, like, when you might be on Instagram and you see somebody say something kind of smart about Beyonce, you kind of get tight.
Yeah,
you kind of get tight a little bit. You don't say that, but you kind of feel sometimes.
What emotional connection you have to
that? No. So, Henny, I'm saying I don't know if I would have liked that song if I didn't see the video with it because the video was so dope.
I had the same. I had the same comments. I was like, if you would have heard us on radio first,
right,
it probably wouldn't have had the same reception,
right,
as if you didn't see the visual for it. And that's a lot. A lot of these records can really take it up a notch when you have a great visual. And now somebody like Macklemore, not saying he's not talented, but his visuals always took it up to another level that made it appreciate the song even more than you probably would have just if you would have just heard it on the radio.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What's your, before we get to it, I know we're gonna move on, but what is your the favorite song that you've done so far? Because I know you're still working, but do you have a favorite?
I get asked this all the time, but I mean, when I look back and and being able to talk to my kids about records and stuff like that as they get older and believe it, My President is Black.
That's huge. It's
huge in the fact that it was the theme song for the first Black president.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it will live on forever. And I've done some great records that were dope and whatever, but that made it all the way to the Nobel Peace Prize Museum and all that stuff. So it's one of those things that just last. And
congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's one of those, like, you don't think about it until you're just like, damn. But I remember that day he won, and you go ride down Peachtree and everybody playing it and blasted it,
and everybody felt like a swell of pride.
I was like, yo, this is insane.
In all fairness, he wasn't the first black president. He was the first biracial president.
He was biracial.
I mean, y'all can have some of that pride. Don't take too much.
Right.
You know, you got to be black. Do something good.
Like it ain't one drop.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's gonna be probably one of my proudest up to this date, just because.
That's wild though.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
That's a hell of a big joker to throw on the table.
He did. I wasn't.
Part of history, bitch.
Tied myself to Obama. Now what?
Right.
Like, okay.
So speaking of sexual harassment.
Speaking of sexual harassment.
I'm saying it seemed like we were going there. Y'all didn't feel it?
The segue.
Y'all didn't feel that switch? No, but Russell Simmons has been in the news.
Russell Simmons is godfather of hip hop, right?
But I have a different take on this.
What is your take?
Okay, Russell Simmons, if it's all alleged right now. Everybody agrees that, right? Nothing has been proven. See, you're rolling your eyes.
I think Russell acknowledged that, he may not, because he's had a history of.
Did he acknowledge?
I think he acknowledged it. He stepped down.
He stepped down.
I may have misstepped.
Yeah.
He stepped down for a whole different reason, though.
He owned this shit, though. Everybody else be lying, and Russell, I felt like Russell owned this shit.
No, he stepped down because he has to keep making money. And he knows that him being in the middle of that back and forth, I did and I did, you did, I didn't, that's going to mess up his money. So he stepped down to continue making money for his brand, for his legacy.
That's what you're alleging.
I'm just saying.
I mean, but he got little girls too, though.
The reason why you step down is so the business continues. Because if you're in the way,
he didn't get fired. He stepped down. So
right.
I mean,
but that also assumes.
But you can't fire Russell.
You can't.
It assumes guilt, though. It does assume some type of guilt. Because if he wasn't guilty of anything and he felt like we weren't going to be able to prove it, I don't think he would have stepped down.
Kevin on this show just a few weeks ago said, where there's smoke, there's fire. He believes that shit. So that means.
Don't bring that up.
I don't think that's a valid point.
Which one?
The point about if he must be guilty,
right?
If he were to step down, I think that in this day and age, you have to really take in so many different factors of what you're gonna do,
right?
And if it's too much to fight and it's gonna cost you too much, you just go ahead and make a move
so that your business can carry on.
Because you know that just being accused is enough to just let me hold on.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think as an adult, it's important to at least say, you know what? Even if I disagree with you, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way.
And that's kind of what he said.
And that's what he said. That's what he said.
Of some type of guilt.
But he said all this isn't true, but I don't. He said that. He said that everything
in that letter. That's what I read. I mean,
everything that she said is not true. But I feel like
everything that she said is not true does not state I didn't do anything to
everybody does
make her
something.
Feel that way.
You've sexually harassed a dude before.
I have not.
You have. You definitely have. But here, I don't want to stray away from my point too far yet. So my question though, ultimately, when we look at the entire grand scheme of things, when it comes to everything Russell Simmons, for the past, let's say 50 years, he has made quite an impact on hip hop.
Yeah.
I can read some of these accolades if you need me to for the listeners.
And comedy.
We're aware.
Right. So I mean, like he's spearheaded so many things.
Right.
So that's the past 50 years. I would say he has another 50 years worth of work to do.
How old do you think he's going to be?
I don't know, man. Technology these days, man.
He does meditate and do yoga.
Technology these days, man. He's only
no less than 137 years old.
He's only eating paper napkins at this point. So
he's a yoga master. He's already channeled his chi.
He eats raw broccoli and
so look,
carrots. Right?
My question is, when these types of cases come, the people end up just going to obscurity. They disappear. So would we say that we don't want Russell Simmons to be Russell Simmons anymore? In lieu of the idea that he sexually harassed someone.
I guess, and I get, as the only female, I'm sure my perspective is going to be different. I think this happens, this Me Too movement is just relevant because it's been happening for so long behind closed doors. And I think that there's a shift as far as women being more successful and having more of a voice. So we're talking about the things that have been happening for years. All of us have worked in entertainment, and I know that you've seen situations happen like this, but we've been taught and conditioned not to talk about them. But just because we've been conditioned not to does not make it not right. Amanda Seales is one of the people that have said something about Russell Simmons. She's very credible. I don't know exactly what happened, but we do know that that's been a part of the good old boys.
I think you're missing my point.
What is your point?
I completely accept everything you said, and I take it, I'm not taking it lightly.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, we know, let's say that it comes out that Russell Simmons actually did sexually assault these women. When we compare that to the body of work, are we willing to negate all of that work and hold on the potential for the next 50 years of work to do based on the idea?
It's the same thing as with Cosby. When I sit back and with my kids and even, my goddaughter, you watch the Cosby Show, you see the impact that the Cosby Show in A Different World had on Black culture. Like I didn't realize how many kids went to college because they saw A Different World. Bill Cosby's impact on the culture far outweighed, I don't know how many women had that issue. You know what I mean? And I think that that's an argument. I don't know how we separate the person's contribution from their indiscretion. You know what I mean? But there definitely has to be a conversation.
He saves more than he rapes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But I'm saying though.
I mean, because like even with Al Franken, right? He just stepped down. He just resigned from the Senate.
Yep.
But the work that he was doing, I need him there, man. What the fuck are you doing?
But is anybody willing?
How do we stop them
is anybody
from raping?
See, there's the thing though. Here's the thing. Is anybody willing to go on record saying some children were harmed in the taping of this movie? You know what I'm saying? Like, is anybody willing to go on record and say, man, we've had a lot of stuff happen that wouldn't have happened for Black people had it not been for Bill Cosby? So he may have done this, but let's figure out what the punishment is and let's still support him. Let's figure out what the punishment is for Russell Simmons and let's still support him, because we need those next 50 years to be incredible like the last 50.
And I think that's something that happens with Black artists more so than white. I remember when Chris Brown had the situation with Rihanna, again, I have to reference that, but they took his music off radio immediately. And I was just like, first of all, we didn't even know what happened in the situation. All we knew is we saw pictures of Rihanna and then radio yanked his music.
Those pictures of Rihanna were enough.
That's just, I've had to deal with it myself as a young kid, just understanding just how fast it can change for you in just a blink of an eye, and nobody thinks of you any way but that way now.
Right,
you know?
Right.
And all it takes is time to realize, like, yo, I fucked up.
Right.
My bad.
Right.
Shit, I'm trying to figure this shit out.
Right.
And we all go through things where we fuck up and we're trying to figure some things out. So you can see Chris Brown, what is it, almost 10 years now later? That, he's still dealing with that, but people have accepted him, again. Right. So it takes that time to say, like, yo, okay, everybody's going to have these issues and these things. And nothing that was done was right or, valid or anything like that. But it's like, yo, okay, let's just give it time to figure out what is really going on. Right. Or is it just going to fall? You know what I mean? Because... Now,
I don't know how to. Even with Kobe Bryant, you remember there was that issue of him.
No, he did.
Did what shit?
Are you throwing that out?
What? The Denver?
You gonna throw that out?
I don't know.
Kobe.
He lost his.
Kobe did that shit.
But he lost his endorsements. You guys remember that? He lost all his endorsements. His endorsements were yanked. But then eventually, because I've always
no, he never got it back.
Well, he got only reason he got off is because the girl had like several samples of semen in the underpants.
She did.
That definitely affects the validity, and that affects the credibility in her statement.
It did.
The black light on her drawers was like, whoa.
But the point is,
but to give an example of what you were saying about the response, when you look at the Republicans and what they're doing right now with your boy Roy in Alabama, I think today, in fact, that response is one where we understand that he may have done something and we do not agree with his morality, but we're in 100% agreement and we're supporting him because of what he stands for. He's going to do what we need him to do. His agenda aligns with us. And it's despicable to watch someone do that. But this type of unfair play, it really negates us being able to play fair as well.
Right.
So when you see somebody say like, hey, he's been raping somebody, look, he going to make these political moves that I need to be made. I think it just feels
wrong.
It is wrong.
But some things, I think some things are more important than others. Like, do I feel like Al Franken could have like offered some form of grievances and then got back to work? right? Maybe took a suspension or whatever. I don't really do that. But
right.
And because the work that he does is a little bit more impactful to the culture, right? To the world, right? Whereas Roethlisberger, I mean, you throw a few footballs, the Steelers won.
That's
right, but that ain't.
That's a slippery slope though, because it's all an interpretation of what that person's contribution is. I know that this argument would eventually include R. Kelly. You know what I mean? And it's like, because I know people to this day that will go to an R. Kelly concert, buy his music, look you in the face, and say, "I don't give a damn." And then I'm on the other hand like, "Are y'all serious?" Like, he continues to rape little girls, and everybody's cool with it. Y'all keep playing basketball with him. It's all good. Like, this is not normal. But
I believe he could fly.
Did he continue to rape little girls though?
Yeah, is that what was being accused of him?
He was
See, you see how this gets real?
Muddy waters.
I mean, there's so many different things that happen in this entertainment industry, whether it's sexual misconduct or just even like financial misconduct, right? Think of like the issues that any producer or songwriter, going back to music, have had with Cash Money, right?
Yeah.
And how much they have not been able to get, me included, where we had to figure out how to get our royalties and our statements and things like that, just because of how they played their, how they operated their business.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they're continuously, having successful runs, and people still want to sign with them, and it's like, at the end of the day, people are just going to keep going towards what helps them.
And what helps them? If there's success, because I've always said it from a PR perspective, if you do a huge infraction, something like Chris Brown or even Kobe Bryant or whatever, the biggest way to overcome that is to have a winning season. Michael Vick, go out there, do good, play good ball. People forget when they are excited about something else, because it's more important for them to enjoy the football game than it is for them to be concerned about the dogs that may have been mistreated. That's just human nature, unfortunately.
I for one didn't care about the dogs. I
didn't either, but I'm just saying, people, the fans that were angry at Michael Vick, if he turned around and had a winning season, as we saw, now he's, it doesn't matter. Like Chris Brown, winning records, he's undeniable. You know what I mean? So you can't keep him off radio because
Chris Brown was crying on stage. Like, he made an emotional plea to the public.
I don't even think that mattered. I think that there are some people that care, but the fact that he had #1 hits and he's super talented. It's Kobe Bryant. I don't give people. There are people that don't even care about her underwear. It's just the fact that Kobe was necessary. He was talented. It's just talent trumps mistakes all day long. R. Kelly, he peed on a 14-year-old girl, but the fact that the dude is talented
on tape.
On tape.
Allegedly, though, right?
It's not allegedly.
He's on tape.
He wasn't convicted of that.
It's on the internet now.
So you watch,
can see it.
So y'all watch child pornography? Oh man, that's a whole other crime. I didn't see it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to step down from the show.
That was a slippery slope. Speaking of children online, that was a smoother transition.
Okay. No, I didn't try to be smooth about mine.
No, you didn't. Just
kids online. Yeah, the Keaton Jones. Have y'all know about what's going on with this? Where the mom, I guess she had just picked him up from school or whatever, and he was feeling bad about being bullied, and she said, "Well, out of curiosity, why do they bully?" Why do they bully me? And he goes, they poured milk on me.
Don't do that.
I have to do the voice.
Don't.
You have to do the voice.
They rehearsed that thing a couple times, man. That was probably take 5.
You think they rehearsed? But he was crying. Did you see it,
That
Jamal?
was a good rehearsal. I saw that jump. Yeah, that was a good rehearsal, practice, and everybody fell for
it. The
it.
niggers are bullying me.
He didn't say that. Y'all are not telling the story correctly.
The niggas came to save him. The niggas came to save him. That's the real story.
So that's why I asked Jamal to come on the show, because we saw that immediately. Like, I looked up and Rihanna posted, T.I. all these. People were posting in support of him, and in my opinion, because just maybe a month ago we saw this 10-year-old little black girl hung herself.
Yeah,
and we didn't
Video
get this
went
out.
Viral.
Yeah, we didn't get an outcry of.
Yeah. Well, because you can't bring a girl that's been hanged to an event.
It's not that.
She's gone. You can't bring her nowhere.
Of course, we don't want to minimize the scenario, but of course we cannot bring her back. But it was a case in point where you could see that we are not as attentive and we're not as excited to help our own. And we really don't. I don't think it's real kosher make an example of the folk. I've been kind of coached up, not to just point out. But
who, the ugly little white boy? That's
not the little ugly white boy.
He's ugly. That's an ugly little white dude. Like
he does look like dude from the Goonies. Don't
they did say he the boy in the basement.
Jamal, right now I wouldn't. Hold on.
Is it that kid was people under the stairs?
He the boy in the basement.
Does he have some type of medical issue?
He may.
But we got to keep up with him because I got to see him in like 18 years. I do want to see.
When I was a kid, I wouldn't have bullied him. I wouldn't have bullied him, but I would have definitely laughed. That's funny. That little ugly little boy is
but see, the thing is, though, we hit it. He really wasn't being bullied. He had said a little racial slur, and somebody.
Do we know that though? Is that been proven?
And that's why I said that's what they say. We don't know anything at this point.
True,
we do know the mom was very calculated and had a very conscious effort to get to the money.
Well, see, we don't know that either though. I read an article last night after I heard about this that those accounts have been shut down. They were by men. It wasn't even by. They may not have been by her who set those accounts.
I think that's her PR spin on it, trying to get away from it because. She did. She. If we saw that there was Schilling, the MMA fighter.
Right.
Yeah. He actually outed her with the
wasn't
text
her account.
Messages.
That wasn't her account though. It's another account. Maybe she set up another account.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Because obviously,
so everything except the video was her.
Right.
What do you mean? Everything but the video was her.
It wasn't her.
Yeah, because she's saying now that she didn't. But she literally said in that text message back and forth to him, and
someone
went wrong.
literally said in that text message. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. Right now, no, come on, we can't give Russell credit if we're not gonna give this crazy white supremacist woman with the ugly little kid the same credit. I mean, what we do know is the kid is ugly as fuck.
We do know we giving her credit because from what I see, it's coming from her talking to him and saying, no, we don't want you to send them out.
Right.
We want you to go ahead and stay down and send us some money.
Right. She said we have to. She said us whites should stick together.
Us whites got to
stick together. Which I don't have a problem with because we feel like blacks against the predator. Against the predator. Yeah. And she said, now she is on video.
But see, y'all keep saying she, and what I'm saying is that we don't have
she's
proof
on
yet.
a video. There's a video of her because she did an interview this morning where she claims that she was made fun of by her friends for not being racist. She's trying to do damage control.
Bullshit.
Yeah. But no,
that's bullshit.
What you mean for not being racist?
Yeah, she said that.
They said
so the guy's like, so who are your friends? At the very minimum, you guys are in a. She said it was just coincidental that they're in a picture with a Confederate flag.
Right.
And that little puny ass 22.
There's a reason that what is the reason that within a day this little white boy was able to get more support than. I don't know. There are thousands. I did a charity event for cricket with Chile on Sunday in Stone Mountain.
Right.
There were so many little kids that parents put them online. People, we know that this is a social media age. People put their kids on social media all the time. What is it about this little white boy that got us so excited as a culture that we were all supporting him? He was getting opportunities to go out to see the Avengers.
Yep.
Rihanna was one of the. What is it about him?
It was the visual. I mean, if you think about what bullying means,
right,
and what it like, even in cartoons or whatever, the kid who got bullied, he always was somewhat funny looking. So it was just a thing that
that's half our superheroes.
Yeah, it was just one of those things that just aligned perfectly,
right?
So that everybody was like, "Oh, this is it. He is the poster child for a bullied kid." Boom, run it.
I got a step further. These damn celebrities, stop it. The artists that I managed or whatever, I know for a fact that attaching your artist to something like the Alzheimer's Foundation, which one of my artists was, that's a hard sell. Yes, everybody knows that they have either a loved one or they know someone who has a loved one who has Alzheimer's, but it's still kind of the thing that we kind of tuck away and we kind of, I'm embarrassed about this. So it's something that's not really on the forefront. Breast cancer, we see that all the time. It still is something that we try to tuck away. It's not really so forefront. Right. A bully kid, that's a quick sell. These celebrities know that if they attach themselves to that.
Well, I think the mother knows that too because she was tagging Cardi B and Kirk Franklin and Snoop Dogg, which I don't even know how the hell the three of those are in the same sentence.
I think that what happened is she saw that because she probably didn't even know all those people. She saw that, the black folks are trying to help us. Mm-hmm. Let's find some more. And she went online tagging them because if Cardi B sees that Rihanna did it, a lot of celebrities are monkey see, monkey do.
But you're talking about calculated, but then you're saying that someone who's calculated is also going to send a post out saying, help us with these predators. People who are calculated don't do that.
She didn't send a post out. This guy reached out to her.
I know.
He reached out to her.
But that's permanent. So you don't do that. If you're being calculated, you don't make those types of moves if you're also making moves. When
I say calculated, I was saying calculated. I was being a little bit facetious because honestly, tagging Cardi B in a post is not super calculated. That's not really calculated. And Kirk Franklin. So I'm saying this is someone who's not in touch with black culture, because you would not put Cardi B, Kirk Franklin, and Snoop Dogg. Where did Kirk Franklin even come from? That's weird.
As
You're just looking at
uncalculated as you
popular
mentioned,
black
Those
celebrities.
Those are the top 3 black people she knew.
And I think as uncalculated as you may think it may be, being that she is not of the culture, to come off, a little bit, I guess, awkward is definitely what she would need to do to be effective. I don't want to give her too much credit, but her idea of let me put my boy out and, make him look really pathetic, I think that was her part that she was calculated on.
It was like those...
Those response was not calculated. She didn't think it was going to be that big of an outcry. In which
She didn't think, and I think it's ironic that she put this out, more black people rushed to her aid, and then it was a white person that said, this is some bullshit. This is not true. You're racist, and I don't want to be a part of this. He put it out, and immediately so I just think that was kind of ironic in the fact that, black people, and I think that we do have I don't care what anybody says. We see black...
We love whites.
We love the whites.
We love the whites.
The Mammy. The Mammy syndrome. You want to be somebody Mammy.
Hey, man. We sick.
Oh, wow.
We sick, boss. Hey. No, that's some real shit, though.
Yeah.
It
that
is.
was my point.
We being bullied, boss. I mean, I saw... And when he said something about the celebrities, I mean, just to really, make them to be very transparent, it was not just an earnest... want to help this young man. It was this photo op that I know I'm about to get to help get me
the little
this
white
shine.
boy.
Yep. We seeing all type of B-list celebrities talking about send me his... Nigga, ain't nobody gonna send you no money.
Man. And you know what? And you know what? I'm say this too, because I
wasn't
tried
even thinking about it as like them using it as a PR op, which we know that they do.
It's too quick. It's too easy.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it was an easy sale. I agree with you. It was just like those ASPCA commercials where they show the dog with one eye and play the sad music and shit. It pulls at your heartstrings. So I don't blame people for feeling empathy for somebody that's going through a hardship or a terrible time, especially similar to, because everybody's been bullied. I know I got talked about. I'm sure we all got talked about at one time or another.
I still talk about you.
Right. You just hazed me about Beyonce shit. I mean, but it happens.
It's an easy target, just like this little ugly boy.
Right.
Stop
but take for example.
Oh my God.
But I'm gonna say this. Fuck that kid and fuck his mom.
Whoa.
Right? And here's why I'm saying that.
I didn't see that coming.
Right, but here's why I'm saying that. A couple months ago, a friend of mine, RJ King, his daughter is similar age, grade school, right? They moved to Texas. One of her classmates sent her on Snapchat a noose and said, I wish we should have hung all you niggers while we had the chance, or some shit like that.
Right.
So he's in fear. And the school did nothing about it. Right? In my mind, kids like Keaton Jones going to school, call her a nigger and doing all that shit, that's a form of bullying itself.
But
you want me to give empathy for that kid who was harassing
Keaton called anybody
school-age girls like my friend's daughter.
But we don't know that Keaton did that. We do know that his family was racist.
And I had to show up to school because some little white kid was calling my little black beautiful daughter a nigga.
Whoa, everybody
fuck
black
that kid
beautiful.
and fuck his mom.
Yes, they are.
I need to see your friend's daughter.
Yes, they are.
Can we get a pic?
You sure can. The article went on BET.
She might be beautiful.
It was on BET. It went
viral. It didn't go viral. That's my problem.
Daughter's pictures.
Is that
hold on. Your segue earlier made it so you cannot tell any of those jokes about seeing somebody's daughter.
My problem is that we don't, all these different situations with black kids, none of them have gone viral.
No.
And I do
that
think
went national.
That it went national, but it didn't go viral. Rihanna didn't offer. Hell, if this had kept going, Beyonce would have shown up, and then it would have been a rap.
But again, Christal, I mean, you're a publicist. You know the reason why. Nobody's willing to stand up to that system of white supremacy that way.
Right.
In a celebrity can't do that.
But
celebrities more than anybody else can.
I think it's more inbred. I think that when we see a little white, when
he said inbred. You were talking about this little ugly white kid from the country.
Oh my God! I do not stand behind anyone on the show saying the little kid is ugly. That's
no. We have to all
him
agree.
If
we have any common ground,
funny looking.
I think he has. I think he looks like a cleft palate or something else is happening. But the point is, I think that a lot
of my homies say like he's been pushing his face against the window.
When black people see a white child suffering, it registers with them differently than when we see our own suffering, and that's a problem. That's my point.
Absolutely.
And that's
it's a
the
problem.
issue.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's the issue. I got a buddy of mine, Moss B, who was on it before any of the news came out. When the thing first came out, my man Moss was just real adamant. He was like, "Man, fuck this little retarded boy," and I was really shocked. I mean, he's just very pro-black, and really he just stuck his neck out there because this was before any of the other news had broke.
Right.
But it just comes a point in time that we have to almost make a conscious decision. Like, do we support ourselves to almost a total just support that you almost are blind to anything else? And it's kind of hard because you'll be like, okay, y'all hate white people or something like that. But it's almost, I kind of parallel it to like if you're really having a hard time financially and you don't have any money to loan to your buddy. But that's still your buddy though. But at this point in time, it's just all about you. And it seems like we're getting to that point in time where people's values are going kind of just crazy. And the opportunity that people wanted to take, that's how desperate people really are. Because these are celebrities. You know, they already got, you know, a piece of attention and all that. But they're so desperate that, you know, they think us little regular folk can't see like, damn, you thirsty for attention. That's a bad look.
Yeah.
You know?
And what's so crazy is right now, man, I feel like this is the time. 2017, 2018, I think that we're at a place now where we're getting the opportunity to redefine what being black actually is. And we're not taking the opportunity. Because people are listening right now.
Right.
Yeah.
People are listening right now, and we're taking our opportunities
And what
to
are they
say this
listening
little
to?
kid as opposed to saying, hey, man, black people are not all this. We're not all that. We're all these things, and we have these abilities.
Right.
Pay attention to all of these things, but no, we're supporting whatever and whenever the opportunity lets us.
Well, you can't say nothing because if you say something, you know, you slut shaming, you know, so you can't say nothing about the constant twerking that's going on with our women. You know?
Right.
So if we speak about the things that will kind of change the look, then we're already categorized.
Somebody got to say something about the twerking. Somebody got to say something about that.
Yeah, I mean, I just
somebody got to
did.
say something about all the fights where they jump in on one guy and beat him till he's unconscious. Somebody has to say something about those things because we have the opportunity to redefine. This is our shot. This may be our last shot.
Yeah. I mean, and you have people that have been saying something, and I'm not just going to point at myself, but I was a part. I've been a part of an organization, or was a part of an organization when I was a teenager, called BTA, Black Teens for Advancement. And it was something. It was not just the little cool, you know, the little nerdy guys or whatever. Killer Mike, in fact, was a big member in this. Kwanzaa Hall was a big member. But we would kind of break up fights and, you know, speak against certain things. And we ended up traveling around the country kind of doing that. And I think at some point in time, we have to understand that we do have to be a positive role model, but you can't just be square. You just can't be square pants because you have to attract some people to start. You have to be marketable.
Yeah.
So this good shit that you got going on, you have to make it marketable and accessible to people.
So sometimes you got to sexually harass somebody while you.
God,
I mean, if you got,
I'm just saying, every now and then you got to Russell Simmons that shit.
Well, I mean,
No? Too soon?
I don't believe you can twerk. You can't let me feel on that.
That can't be the definition.
I mean, that's the whole little song now that's going. How's it go?
what song?
Fuck them, then I get some money.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
that's-
No, not that one. My homie, that's real silly. He was something. Let me feel on your booty.
I don't know that.
I don't know that
That
song.
big old booty.
Yeah.
Yep.
I bet you can't twerk. Let me see you twerk. I know you can't twerk.
If you broke, go to work.
Yeah. I mean, and it's going, but see, that's what I mean. Like, it's so entertaining, and we're laughing, but that's a that's a part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because we
That's
then
just-
kind of numb ourselves to it, to where we're just laughing at it. And we don't see like, man, this kind of vulgar song.
Right.
And you know what? Let me throw this out there too. Because I think we were all bullied, but if you don't learn how to deal with bullies as a child, then you done as an adult.
See, I can't agree with that because when we were growing up, social media wasn't around. So I might have felt bad because the boys in my class were making fun of my cheeks, but the whole world wasn't laughing at them. So, I mean, it's a total different situation. Bullying has been taken to another. First of all, parents aren't even though some parents weren't involved then, parents really aren't involved now because kids are all online. So that's a whole different, and bullying did affect a lot of us then. We just don't talk about it. There are people that have, the entertainment industry is full of people that were bullied as a child and are taking it out on people every day.
So are the police force.
So exactly. That's a perfect example. That doesn't go away. It wasn't okay then. It's not okay now. But now it's even worse because it's multiplied. I can't imagine if I looked on Facebook and there were 5,000 people laughing at something as opposed to just a class of 24 like it was back then. So I think that attitude of, well, you just got to get over being bullied. A 10-year-old hang themselves. Do you know how messed up a 10-year-old had to be to? I don't even know how to hang myself as a 10-year-old. Like,
I wish I could have got to her. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you a story. So my niece got bullied. She's 7 years old. Okay. She came to me. She said, "Uncle Kevin, this person is messing with me on the school bus." I said, "You know what? Let me teach you how to fight." All right? There's a soft part of your nose and there's a bone right here. You feel that? You punch somebody right there, they will leave you alone. Guess what? A week later, I got a call because that bully was messing with her. That bully ain't messing with her no more. Matter of fact, all the kids are scared of her because Harley punches like a boy. Right?
That's a great story, but what if the bully had 5 other kids jump on her?
Now she's got a lot more confidence.
There was a kid that got beat
herself.
up. But Kevin, there was a kid that got beat up. He got jumped, and it was taped, right? So you guys saw that, where this little kid got jumped by a whole bunch. They beat him till he was unconscious, and it was taped. So I get that, teaching him how to fight. Again, this world is totally different. You teach her how to hit, and then the bully is like, oh, she's whack. Let's all beat her ass. Then what? Fighting is not necessarily the answer now because there's no rules. It's
I agree
totally
with you because you can't do everything physically, but you do have to do it mentally.
Right.
The other thing was how to joke, how to take a joke, and how to respond. Snappy comebacks. Like, you got to be able to throw those. Because if you can't do that shit as a child, I guarantee. Matter of fact, I think if you can't deal with bullies as a child, then when you get into adult situations, you're more likely to be sexually harassed or outed or so on and so forth because you're going to take whatever somebody throws at you.
I got a cool transition, but I don't know. I agree. I still think that bullying, that doesn't work.
What's the fix though? Legislation? So we're gonna convict these little kids for being bullies?
I don't think there's just one answer. I think you just have to kind of understand that you have to be, well, not just case by case, but you just have to be a certain level of callous. You cannot be just super sensitive in this day and age.
Right.
Of course, a situation like having 5,000 people witness you getting your ass whooped, that's something rough. That's going to be rough. And I don't know that you can really prepare somebody for that. You can't coach me up for that shit right there.
Have you ever been in a fight?
Yeah.
Have you ever lost a fight?
Oh, yeah.
So you know what it's like. You get over it. And no matter how many people saw it, you could have got beat up at the pep rally. Yeah. Eventually,
in front of the whole school.
No, I wasn't like that. I ain't eat like that. But the thing is that you know that certain people have to be reinforced. And another personality, you can just leave them alone. They're gonna be all right. Excuse me. Yep. They're gonna be all right.
Right.
So that's why I say it. I don't want to just say case by case, but you can kind of feel a person. You know your child, and if the responsibility is just still on you. And if you see, you're not just a square person. You can see if your child is kind of bullyable, and then just kind of work with them because they're not gonna always come. I'm a single father. My son is 12. Getting ready to be 13 tomorrow. In fact, he's in 7th grade. My guy's not the most aggressive. He's not a punk, but he's not the most aggressive guy. You know what I'm saying? I question him before he has a scenario in which he has to, this happened to me. We kind of deal with some things, role play, all that. Because as a dad, I'm kind of fearful. You talking about you done did something to my boy.
Right.
I might go ahead and make the mistake.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel you. That's true, but I think your point is good. Every kid is different. And you have kids that you don't know if that little girl was, mental illness is a huge issue. Some kids, if a kid already has a preconceived, affinity to be depressed, and they get bullied, they may be more close to be suicidal. And they may not share that with their parent.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had a son. I did not know. I thought my son was probably getting bullied just because he wore glasses and braces. And he looked, he definitely didn't wear, I gave him cool clothes. He really didn't.
Your son was tricking you. You thought he was watching porn too.
I did think he wasn't watching porn. That was horrible.
I think if you're joking on your kid,
every son is watching porn.
But well, I wasn't joking on. But the point is,
you were probably watching porn too. I get it from you, Dad. I get it from you.
As a parent, you don't always know what's going on with your child. You don't. True. You know what I mean? Like it's great to say I know my child, but as a parent, you don't always know what's going on. My kid was getting bullied, but he was fighting back, and he didn't need me to do that. Where my daughter, who was the more social one, was the one that actually was dealing with it. So you don't always know, but I do think it's something that we have to take seriously.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. What is a step? Do we do legislation though, or is it as significant as you're saying, or is it really the numbers aren't that great? Now, I'm not saying anyone should ever lose their life to suicide, but are the numbers that great to where we come in and enforce legislation to where these young people are getting convictions now as being bullies when they're 10 years old, and then they grow up to be a real person?
No.
And they have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit too much.
Yeah, because most bullies were bullied. So they learn to get that harsh, my uncle said fight, so now I'm fighting everybody. You know
so then can we have to kind of just leave it alone and let it work itself out in that sense then? We can't really put our grown fingers on it.
I don't think legislation is the answer. I mean, ain't no law going to stop me from calling you funny looking.
But she was saying it was a very serious problem, and it's something that's gotten different now with social media. So what can be done if it's not legislation?
And it has to be a part. It has to be part of your village. You know what I mean? Because as a parent, you're gonna have friends that know your children. Like you said, your man's like you might be the uncle. You might be your dad's best friend, and the village needs to be able to have to talk to these children and say if there's anything wrong with anything, you come to any of us.
Right.
And the engagement has to be there so that we can say, it has to be just as harsh as a young girl telling somebody that somebody was touching me. Right. If somebody was like, yo, he's picking on me, because that picking on me as a young boy could turn into him not feeling good. And then next thing you know, you don't know what the fuck is going on.
That's true.
But it has to be that harsh. Like, oh shit, hold on. You have to, oh man, don't chill out, man. If somebody's picking on you, just it needs to be stronger than that.
Right.
Because it could be really affecting them mentally, and we need the village, and that's, and it's always going to start within those little circles. Right. You know what I mean? So
did y'all see the clip of the boy getting beat up by the girl? She was accusing him of stealing her cell phone.
Yeah.
She was beating the mess out of him, but he wouldn't hit her back.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I saw that.
So what did you guys think of that? What did you think of that? I think it was like the title was like, what would you do? What would you have your son do? If this was just
they're like Hispanic, right? Were they black or they? Well,
I think they were Hispanic.
It's kind of all I did see that. Yeah,
he was like on some bleachers.
He composed himself to the because she was getting face shots.
She was getting it in.
Yeah.
Right. And she was like mad aggressive.
What would you tell your son to do?
Man, once it starts
do your best.
Yeah, once it starts hurting to the point where you can't.
Yeah.
You need to either move out of the situation or she got to get that
remove
2-piece.
yourself.
But she can't keep coming. I mean, the girl.
Everybody has a limit. Well, I don't think that men should hit women, but I also think that women shouldn't hit men. And if you hit someone, you deserve to be hit back.
I would 2-piece her up in middle school. On the bus in middle school, a girl bit me on my side, and I gave her that business. I talked about it on this show. She got the business. Yes.
Yeah.
You a kid. I'm a kid. We not grown yet.
Yeah.
I just a little boy strength.
I was just telling your wife, man. Like when I was a kid, this girl Tiasha slapped me when I was on the bus. Man, I knocked her eyes. She had a nice little shiner behind it, but. Come find out she liked me or whatever, but I didn't.
So
I didn't even think about it.
Oddly sexual.
Hey,
it's important to teach your
and that's
girls
why I choke women now.
But she smacked the shit out of me though, boy.
It's important to teach girls not to hit boys because I do think I've never hit a boy, but I remember playing around with a friend in high school, and he was small, so I thought, I can push him around. And he slammed me into the locker just playing, but I was like, they're way stronger than we are. So and ever since
that was your wake-up call.
That was my wake-up call. So now I have an argument with a guy. If I say something that's a little too slip, I just, I remove myself because I don't want to get hit. I know that men are stronger. So because he is stronger, you have to teach your daughters. It's not because a lot of women I've seen, he can't hit you back. You better tell me if he hit you. But you slapping him in the face, eventually, there's usually something that snaps.
Everybody got a breaking point, man.
When somebody gets hit in the face, that just makes them be like...
I believe in restraint. I believe you should try to restrain yourself, but you've given me the right to make a decision.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like I have a daughter, I got sisters, and that's what I tell them. Like, don't give them the right to make a decision.
Right.
Because it depends on how I feel. You hit me in the right spot, I'm going to give it to you.
And sadly enough, there are people who will say, don't tell her she can't, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
But see, and not to get too deep, I'm pro men's rights.
Men's rights.
Exactly. Men have rights too, and that's what's crazy. It's like I value myself.
Yeah. Face.
I mean, but to say it,
it's scoffed at the
whole
thing.
And rights too. Good Lord.
I mean, but at the end of the day, like if I say that I value myself to the point where I'm not going to be hit. All right. So now let me say it. If I was a woman, let me say that I value myself to the point where I'm not going to be hit. Oh yeah, we stand with that shit right there. It makes total sense. But as a man, if I say that I have that same value, Like, this is the shit right here. This all this right here. This me. And I'm not going to allow you to pop me. Now, I may, not hit you back, but it's still a decision that I have.
Right.
And that's the element that I think that our ladies, our counterparts, are not trying to understand.
Are y'all getting beat up? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, guys do get hit.
It's not so much getting beat up because you can't beat me.
Well, girls,
but I don't even like you to hit me. Like, don't get
Why
mad.
would you be with girls that are hitting?
I do think there are certain women that will use that like it's some type of magic force field, right?
I can keep coming. And you can't do
and they
nothing.
will wail on the dude until he just click, and you don't want no nigga to click.
Yeah.
We don't want you to click. Y'all don't want us to click.
I
think
agree.
non-violation is really that's what we need to put forth in the culture.
How did we get here? This is not what we were talking about today.
That's fine. I think we've had a great talk today, though.
Yeah,
overall,
rights. What the hell?
Dope guests, man. Y'all been
everything already. You get more money on the dollar.
You said how do we get there? And you're about to go further.
I'm just saying, y'all get everything.
Address your grievances with your congressman. We don't hear that shit. I got time for that.
I just want to thank our guests for coming out. Definitely thank you to Henny, Tha Bizness. When y'all hear that business tag on your favorite record, you know where that came from. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and definitely for giving us some education on the Grammy process. I think a lot of people that hear this, will definitely learn a lot. We learned a lot today.
What it's about.
And also, Jamal, thank you for hanging out, bringing some additional insight on the situation. And definitely check out Kosher Footwear. We'll put up that information on the site so people can,
But
go.
let them say how people can get in touch with you if you'd like.
Yeah, on all my social media accounts, it's Henny Tha Bizness, HennyThaBizness.com or adventuresinbeatmaking.com. Adventures in Beatmaking is definitely what I'm pushing right now. So yeah.
You can check me out at Kosher Footwear on Instagram, Kosher Classics with a K on Facebook. Definitely check us out at our website, kosher.shoes. Yeah, just keep it kosher.
Yeah. And we'll tag all your stuff to our social media and stuff so, listeners will be able to go there and link to y'all.
Well, it was a pleasure. Thank y'all for having me. For sure.
Yeah. Respect.
Listeners, once again, thank you for tuning in to Music Love Life. Go to the website, musiclovelifeshow.com, where you can connect yourself to everything Music Love Life. And I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.